Having something special to give to family and friends at the holiday season is really nice. But if you haven't planned ahead, it sometimes can be difficult to come up with an idea of something you can pull together from things that are available here in Oklahoma. What we're doing today is praline syrup, and this is a dessert syrup. You can put it on waffles if you needed to, but it really is designed to go on something like ice cream or cake or even on pumpkin pie. Now, we're going to can this so that it's shelf stable and able to be given to people and they can use it when they need it. And in order to do that, you need to have a quick reminder of some of your canning principles. One of the things we're going to do is get the lids ready. Now, you need to follow the directions on the package of lids that you have. Each year you need to check it, or each package you need to check it to make sure that you're doing the right thing. This particular batch said pour hot water over the flats. We want to soften this orange compound, but we don't want to put boiling water on it, nor do we want to boil them because they'll get too soft, and when we screw on the bands, they'll cut right through. Also have your home canning jars ready. For this, because it's very hot, when we're putting it into the jars, you want to try and keep the jars hot. And you can do that simply by putting them in the dishwasher, which cleans them. We don't need to sterilize the jars, so don't go to that extra effort. We're going to put it in a boiling water bath for 10 minutes, and they will sterilize during that period of time. So don't work too hard here. This is the holiday season. You're rushed. Let's do something that's fairly quick and not add any extra steps. The dishwasher will also keep the jars hot if you keep them in there on the heating cycle, so you're set for that. What I have in the pan is 2 cups of dark corn syrup, and to that I'm going to add 1/3 of a cup of dark brown sugar and 1/2 cup of water. Now, I want this to come to a boil, and we're going to let it boil for 1 minute, and then we'll go on. At this point, we're going to turn the heat down to a simmer and stir in 1 cup of pecan pieces. Now, if you haven't made it for a period of time after the pecans have been harvested, your best choice is to leave the pecans in as large a piece as possible and put them in the freezer. You're more apt to get them in good quality then. Or you can leave them whole and they'll keep for a substantial length of time. We're going to let this simmer for about 5 minutes. But chop the pecans shortly before you're ready to use them, as opposed to having them chopped up well ahead and leaving them at room temperature. Okay, really the only trick when you get to this point is ladling it into the jars so that every jar gets about the same amount of nuts, because you don't want to have one that's got a lot and one that just has a few. The nuts will float, so don't worry about that. What you're aiming for here is to make sure you can get the head space as close as possible. I really recommend a funnel. Because it is so hot. In many respects, it's like making candy, except you don't have to be quite as careful with the weather to make sure you had a good day. You want to fill it up to 1/8 of an inch of the top. So as I said, you're going to fill it really full. But basically, you want to fill it full enough so that it's as full as it'll go without touching the top of the flat or the bottom of the flat. So if we've got a few too many nuts here, let's get those out. But we still want to get the head space real high. The next step is to get a paper towel and dampen the edge just a little bit with some clean water and wipe around the top, because if there's anything sticky or dirty or a piece of nut up here, it will prevent it from sealing. Then you're ready to get one of the flats that you've prepared ahead of time, which is the reason we do that. You want to work as quickly as you can because if things sit out very long, you can get bacteria back in here, and then it won't be able to get taken care of during the processing time. So you move as quick as you can. And at this point, we're ready to put them into the water bath canner. Now, most of the time we have a huge water bath canner because we have a lot that we're doing. With this, we're going to get 4 pints at the most, probably about 3.5. And so I've jury-rigged basically a smaller canner so that I don't have as much heat coming into the house and whatnot. But the thing you need to remember as you jury rig is that the container needs to be large enough that you can have at least 2 inches of boiling water over the top. And you'll notice, if you can see down in there, there's a K-crack in the bottom because you have to keep the jars off the bottom of the container or the other pot so that water can circulate underneath. We'd have them all filled, put them all in at the same time, and the processing time will depend on your altitude. If you live at 1,000 feet or below, you're going to process for 10 minutes. If you live at an altitude above that, then you need to process for 15 minutes here in Oklahoma. Farther out west, you can check the website and find out exactly what the processing time would be based on altitudes above the 6,000 mark. Find your altitude simply by looking at a state map, contact an airport that's close to you, or a police station or a weather station, and they'll be able to tell you what your altitude is so that you can go from there. There's also a few websites where you can find that information on the internet. This is something special that you can make this time of year without having to plan way ahead. It also doesn't take very much time, which can be pretty short at this time of year, and it's something anybody you're going to give it to is really going to appreciate. For Oklahoma Gardening, this is Barbara Brown.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. You can also find more recent videos on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.